Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you very much for GIR for providing me with the opportunity to present our plans for implementation of NDC in the Maldives. So this would be the outline of my presentation. First, I'll be giving you a brief introduction to my country as well as our national circumstances. After that, I'll be discussing our NDC, particularly mitigation contribution of the Maldives NDC, some additional informations, and the NDC process in the Maldives. After that, I'll give you a brief overview of our NDC implementation plans, including our institutional arrangement for NDC implementation as well as the main components of our NDC implementation plan. After that, I'll conclude my presentation with the challenges and limitations we face in the Maldives for implementation of NDCs. For the people who are not aware of Maldives, Maldives is a very small, tiny island nation in Indian Ocean. We are the smallest country in the Asia in terms of the land area, just 300 square kilometers, and our population is around 400,000. And in terms of our emission, the main emissions come from our energy sector, which includes 94.1% of our GHG inventory. And also, even though our emission is very minimal compared to the global emissions, we have one of the high per capita emissions in South Asian countries. So definitely we have to show our leadership in climate change mitigation. Having said that, the key for us is adaptation to climate change, being a very low-lying island. So Maldives submitted its NDC on September 2015 to show our commitment to the Paris Agreement, as well as we are the current chair of the Alliance of Small Island States, AOCs. So we showed our leadership by submitting our NDC quite early in the process, and we had both conditional and unconditional targets. And Maldives NDC also has mitigation and also adaptation contribution to the Paris Agreement. Our adaptation component is mostly aspirational goals for the key vulnerable sectors. So we want to achieve by 2030 these aspirational goals in our adaptation. So the mitigation component of our NDC is to reduce unconditionally 10% of our business as usual greenhouse gas emissions, and this is from the base year 2011, and this could be further increased by 10% if we have the availability of low-cost financial resources, technology transfer, and capacity building. So this is very crucial for small islands and least developed countries. Some additional information regarding the Maldives NDC. Our time frame for implementation is from 2021 to 2030. Our main sector is energy and transportation. The main rationale behind this is our emissions mainly come from these two sectors. We do not have much emissions from FLU or waste sector as well. The gases considered is carbon dioxide and methane. So this slide, I'm discussing the process we had for our NDC, formulation of our INDC as well as our NDC implementation plan. This is for our INDC. So first we conducted a stocktake exercise in the country, and also we established some project management unit for the INDC project. We hired national experts and also did some mitigation potential modeling through a model called greenhouse gas abatement cost model, which is a joint collaboration with our government and UNEP DTU partnership based in Copenhagen, Denmark. Then we drafted our NDC and submitted after our endorsement from our president. The process for our formulation of our NDC implementation plan is also quite similar, but we conducted more extensive stakeholder consultations at subnational level in different islands and atolls in the Maldives. And we also received technical assistance from UNEP DTU partnership and also Global Environment Facility for developing our NDC implementation plan. So during the INDC process, we found that there are few mitigation projects which is feasible for our country. These include in energy efficiency, transport sector, as well as renewable energy. So our INDC consists of these mitigation projects as well as mitigation measures. So we started developing our NDC just after we submitted our INDC to the UNFCCC. So we started this process around December 2015, and the main objective of our NDC implementation plan is to monitor and evaluate the implementation of actions proposed in our Maldivian NDC. So once we ratified the Paris Agreement, we didn't review our targets, so our INDC became NDC, and and also to ensure that we meet the commitment. It's really important for us to meet our commitment for implementation of the Paris Agreement. And also this is really important to prioritize the identified mitigation actions, also the projects, so that we can come up with a timeline for implementation of NDC. So it's really important to prioritize the identified actions. So in terms of institutional arrangement, we have a climate change steering committee which will be established for the NDC implementation, as well as other climate change related efforts in the country. So this will be chaired by the Vice President, and also we are formulating a NDC coordination unit in the climate change department of the Ministry of Environment and Energy. In terms of stakeholders, we have a lot of government stakeholders because our governance is quite centralized, and also our private sector is not that much developed. Only the tourism sector is quite developed in the country. And also we require the assistance of non-state actors such as non-governmental organization and also the private sector to carry out our identified mitigation measures in the future. So the main components of our NDC implementation plan is first, actions to strengthen institutional arrangement for implementation of NDC in the Maldives. So this is really important because being a very small country and also a small island developing country, we don't have a permanent institutional arrangement for climate actions. So it's really important for us to develop a permanent institutional arrangement. Our arrangements we have is for ad hoc basis for preparation of national communications as well as biennial update reports. And also the second main components are mitigation projects. So in this we have identified few around 21 projects and also mitigation measures which could be implemented in the Maldives. And we also find that one of the most important aspect of our NDC implementation is strengthening the tracking of NDC implementation. To have a robust measuring, reporting and verification system in the country is a key to us for implementation and also monitoring the progress of NDC in the country. So actions. In the NDC implementation plan, we have prioritized our actions, and the first actions which we are going to take is strengthening our institutional arrangement by 2020. And for that, we are developing a legal framework to support implementation of NDC. We are currently in the development of our Maldives Climate Change Act, which would be passed before 2020, which would give us the legal basis for all the data collection requirements as well as other requirements for NDC implementation in the country. And also we have established NDC coordination unit with dedicated staffs within the ministry so that we could track the progress of our NDC. And also establishment of climate change steering committee has been done already, and regular meeting of committee take place in the country. And also we appoint different focal points. We have focal points from different government ministries as well as some private sector organizations, but we need to get more focal points from different stakeholders, which includes for the NDC implementation. Already we have focal points for our BUR process as well as the national communication process and also the inventory compilation process. So we need to identify the new environmental focal points and work together with them for implementation. So the mitigation projects or the mitigation measures which we have in our NDC implementation plan is the following information regarding each and every mitigation measure or the project. So project description, goals, objective, baseline scenarios, mitigation scenarios, potential indicators, which is really important for the tracking of the progress, and also implementation time frame, and also support needed and costs for the each project, and also lead agency for project implementation. So this is one of the key aspect of Maldives NDC implementation plan, because having a robust MRV system would enable us to track our progress in the NDC implementation. So first thing we need to do is to improve the institutional framework for our GHG inventory, so that we would be we will have a better idea of what our emissions are. And also we are currently conducting a gap analysis on the existing MRV process, which we have set up for our national communications as well as inventory, and for energy balances, national inventories, and also other setups. So we are conducting this gap analysis at the moment through our assistance from our development partners as well as our national budget, and developing a national MRV database to link a database from different sectors. It's really important for us so that we have a holistic approach for NDC implementation in the country. And last but not least, it's really important for us to build our capacity in terms of understanding the importance of a national MRV, also implementation of this MRV to its maximum potential. So it's really important, and we are having the ongoing plans of having our capacity built through development assistance as well as our national budget for the implementation. When you discuss about the challenges and the limitations we have for NDC implementation, you have to consider our national circumstances. We are very, very small country with very limited human resources. So the first challenge we have is we don't have a legal framework, but we are working on that, and by 2020 we will have a legal framework so that we can track our NDC, the progress of our NDC. And we don't have, as I said before, we don't have a permanent institutional arrangement for data collection. And also we face a challenge that there's general lack of awareness among the stakeholders for the importance of data collection and archiving. This is a challenge we are trying to address through our national budget by having awareness programs amongst the government stakeholders as well. And We have quite weak inter-stakeholder management, especially working along with the private sector is a challenge for us, like many developing countries. So it's a challenge we need to address. And unfortunately, the model we used in our NDC process is GESMO model, which gives the marginal abatement cost curves for each of the mitigation project or the measures, but it doesn't have the potential to determine the core benefits such as the job creation and also determination of health benefits such as air quality. So for our next NDC cycle or revision of our NDC, we would be definitely using a more sophisticated modeling software for the future. Yeah, and these are my references, and thank you very much for your kind attention.